Let me use some Bible verses to let us understand the importance of how we think on who we are, how our life turns out. There's a verse in the Bible. I'm not even going to preach, so I won't say John chapter this says this. Frankly, I don't know, but I know the verses. As a man thinketh, so is he. Meaning the way you think shapes who you become. And research has shown that people with depression, people with anxiety, people with schizophrenia have certain thought processes that define the types of mental health challenges that they're experiencing. There's another verse that talks about renewing of your mind. Renewing of your mind is like what we're doing here. Listen, so what I'm doing is prophetical. Those of you who think that I'm against religion. Renewal of the mind, changing the way you think, challenging the way you think. There's a verse that says, whatsoever is pure, whatsoever is good, think on these things. I mean, it's a lot longer than that. You know that. Like I said, I'm not here to preach. But this underpins an example of what we do in therapy, because positive thinking is something that we encourage in different forms of therapy. Shifting our focus from the negative things that happen, instead of amplifying the negative things that happen continuously, let's start to highlight the positive things. It's biblical. And to top it all off, one of my favorite things is the armor of God, right? We talk about the breastplate of righteousness, I think, and all of those things. And the crux of Christianity is salvation. And guess what? It's the helmet of salvation. Helmet. What does it protect? Some of you may think I'm reaching, but our lives, more than 90% of the life that you live is lived here. The thoughts you have, the motivations, the expectations, the memories, it's all in your head. And that's the part of you that needs salvation. There is so much we have control over in our lives. There are so many ways our lives can be better. A lot of men of God, women of God, when we hear of God, we forget the men and the women before it and focus on the of God because they are divine. We forget that these are men and women before they are of God. But a lot of them have understood the power of fear on people. And so they tell you your business is not thriving because someone is jealous of you. Your business is not thriving because there's a family member sitting behind some pot shouting your name, Steve, Steve. Meanwhile, the person is probably somewhere minding their own business. But we buy into these things and we don't realize that, wait a second, if I think that way, it means that each time I try to work on a business, at the back of my mind, there's always this fear that it won't succeed because someone is mentioning my name somewhere. You don't realize the amount of effort you put into the work you do reduces. You don't realize that sometimes you will self-sabotage because you've been told that there's a reason why it won't work out. Let's be very, very mindful. Schizophrenia is very common in our society. When we see these people we call mad men and mad women around, they're experiencing what we call psychosis. And there are multiple people who have actually experienced this and been able to resolve it. If it's caught early, it's dealt with early enough, and they get consistent love and care, it helps. But we assume that when a person experiences a psychotic break, it's either the end, or they have to be committed to a psychiatric asylum, or we have to take them for prayers. And they don't get the help they need. They don't get the chance to speak to the professionals that they need to speak to get better. They are stigmatized. They are kept under wraps. Relationships not working out. We're not looking at our attachment styles and how that is impacting our relationships. Oh, in your family, all the women don't get married. We have to pray against it. In your family, all the men end up marrying women who are like A, B, C, D. We have to break that chain. What about your character? What about your behavior? What about the things that you're actually doing to repeat that cycle because you learned certain behaviors from the generation that came before you? Religion has been used as a tool to control people. But it's also a tool that you can use to empower yourself. There's nothing wrong with believing in a higher being. It doesn't mean be lazy. I'll give you an example. There was a situation where a family member of mine called and said, oh, they know this person who's looking for a job. And the person has been praying every time they go. It's her prayer topic. Do I have an opening? And so there was something. And, in a bid to help, we called her and told her to come for an interview. I kid you not, this girl said, we are going to the mountains to pray that morning. Can I come another day? Meanwhile, her prayer topic was what? A job. This is what religion is doing to us. Then the prayer topic will be, let's bind every spirit that is tying your job somewhere. It's time to empower ourselves. It's time to wake up. It's time to stop letting the fear of someone doing us control us. You can pray, but seek the right help. Get the right attention that you need for mental health issues. Help the people that you love and care about get the help that they need. There's nothing that is not biblical about mental health. Religion and mental health can coexist side by side if used the right way. Let's empower. I'm sure there are so many other scriptures. Maybe one day I'll sit down and I'll study the Bible so I can come and quote like all the scriptures and say, John chapter this says this, John chapter that says that, and link it to mental health for you. But for now, let's use what I've given you.